His love for you is so deep. He's okay with you being uncomfortable as he transitions you out of a bad place into a healthier place. If you don't know me, my name is Amanda, and I have encouraging prophetic words that I offer to those that follow me on my platforms. So I have one today. Let's get into today's word before you get bored and scroll through this video. So there are moments when I am minding my own business, doing whatever I'm doing, reading a book, watching funny, hilarious videos on the internet, because I am entertained just as much as you are by the funny pet videos or animal videos or whatever video that comes across your way. Minding my own business when the Holy Spirit started to tell me, Amanda, I want you to come and pray and meet with me. My first thought is, I just want to relax. But then he continues to lead me into prayer, and I obediently go and pray and seek him of what he wants to share with my heart. And then he starts to speak to me. So one of these days, this is what happened. And I went into pray, got into our bedroom and just closed the door, went before the Lord, started to intercede, started to worship him, and told him, I'm here, Lord. Speak what you want to speak. I am listening. I will write it down. And if you want me to share this with other people, I will share this with other people. And he immediately said, yes, this is a word for other people. And I want you to, share this. So I'm doing that today. The thing that I first saw when I was in intercession, after I asked the Lord what it was that he wanted to tell me, with my eyes closed, I saw a picture in my mind. This is how me and the Holy Spirit communicate a lot of times, through pictures in my mind, in my heart. And I saw the Lord Jesus in this picture in my mind. You can call it a vision. He was leading me into a garden that he was taking care of. And this was more of a feeling that I had that was urgent, that this was an urgent message. And he was going through the garden, and he started to show me a particular area of the garden where the plants that were planted in this part of the garden were planted in toxic soil. He started to show me how the soil was toxic, how it was affecting the plants that were growing out of this part of the garden and causing the plants to wilt, to not be their best, not producing flowers, things that you would expect to happen when plants are growing in a toxic environment. And then he said, I am going to uproot these plants and I'm going to put them in soil that is healthy and has good nutrients and is better for them to grow and to be their best in. And I was just listening and watching, and I said, okay. And as he was pulling up each plant by the roots, going deep into the soil, into this toxic soil, I could hear the plants respond in an audible voice. And they were not happy. They were uncomfortable. Some of them were even kind of screaming like, no, don't pull me out. Jesus continued to uproot these plants out of this toxic soil, ignoring their pleas for him to stop, ignoring for their uncomfortable expressions. And then he looked at me and said, I'm going to go plant them now in healthy soil. And as he looked at me, I could see the deep emotion he had in his eyes, and I felt the grief in his heart. I felt it. It went really deep in me, and I could feel his heart for these that were planted in the wrong soil. And he said a specific sentence. I wrote it down. Let me read it so that I don't forget what he said, because it was so loud. He said, we need to remove people out of their toxic environments and toxic relationships, or they will never grow, but slowly perish. He repeated to my heart, remove my people out of the toxic soils they are in. And he was inviting me with him to do this. He said, let us remove the people out of toxic soils that they have been growing in. And then he went further into another part of the garden and found some healthy soil and started to plant these plants into the healthy soil. If you know anything about uprooting a plant and removing it from its current place into a new place, that the process can shock the plant. It can be uncomfortable for the plant. And when you plant it in a new area, you have to be more careful with it. You have to give it fertilizer. You have to be tender with it. That's the word I'm hearing, that be very tender with it, because it's now in a new environment. Although it's a healthier place for this plant, it still is going to endure that transition time. Eventually it will adapt, it will root down, and then it will grow and be beautiful and healthy and produce what it's supposed to produce, whether it be a flower or fruit or whatever is in its nature to produce. The Lord did something when he shared this vision with me, when he shared this word with me, remove my people out of toxic environments, out of toxic relationships. So obviously in the garden, the plants aren't just about plants, it's about individuals, about his children who do find themselves in environments that are stifling them, destroying them slowly, because what's around them is not only toxic, but it's damaging them, it's destroying them. And when you grow in an environment that you're used to, even though it's toxic, like these plants we're in, you still get comfortable and you still think, this is all I know, so I'm going to remain here and I'm not going to go anywhere else. Because it's all you know. You don't know the healthier environments that you could be in. You only know the toxic environments. The most interesting thing about this word, though, was that for a long time, I have been wanting to share with audiences that watch my videos about the importance of not being in toxic situations. Because I myself have been pulled out of a toxic relationship, and I'm going to talk about that in another video. And so I know what it does to your soul. I know what it does to your spirit, man. When you remain in something for so long, and I'm talking like years, where you're so comfortable that you are in anguish about being in that environment, but you don't know anything different, you don't know anything else, and you don't know where to begin to walk out of it. It's difficult for other people who've never been in these types of situations to relate or to understand. If you have been in a relationship that's toxic or an environment that's damaging to your soul, like I'm talking damaging to your soul, to the point where even your spirit is now broken because of the unhealthy relationship or environment, and because you're enduring, abuse. It doesn't have to be just physical abuse. It could be emotional, psychological abuse. It could be financial abuse. But if you're enduring those types of things and you don't know how to get out, but you're comfortable to stay in because that's all you know, when the Lord comes into your life and he's like, it's time for you to be uprooted and placed into a healthier environment, it can be shocking to you. The Lord did that to me, and it took years for me to get it. It took me a long time to hear what he was telling me, to get me to understand how to put together pieces of a puzzle of, why am I struggling so deeply? Why am I depressed? Why am I anxious all the time? And to link it to a toxic relationship that I've been in for so long. It took me a while to figure that out. And once I figured it out, then I had to grieve the reality that I was in. I had to grieve, I'm in a toxic situation, I need to get out. And then the reality and the revealing that the Lord did for me of seeing how much I was losing who I was because of that situation, relationship. It was like so hard. When I see the Lord lock eyes with me like he did in that vision, and I could see the deep emotion he had, this concern, this love for those that he knows, and he hears the suffering happening. That's the thing about it, is even though you're in a place that's toxic, you feel like you are dying on the inside, it's still so hard to walk away. But he hears the heart cry. Maybe you're not verbalizing it, but he still can hear the heart cry. He can hear those wounded parts of you that are struggling to breathe, feeling suffocated, and he wants to respond. And his way of responding, if we let him, is to pull us up by the root out of that situation or that relationship and place us in a healthier place, a healthier state of being where we can heal and we can grow. But that process of recognizing what you're in, recognizing what you need to do, and then being uprooted and transferred and placed into healthy soil, it is so hard. It is so hard. You're like, I don't want to do that, God. I fought him for years when he came to me and said, it's time to uproot you. And I was like, I don't want to be uprooted. It's going to be painful. So I understand when the plants were being uprooted in this vision that they were crying out to God, this is uncomfortable. I don't want to be moved. I don't want to be positioned elsewhere. I don't know what else is out there. I just don't feel safe. I feel comfortable in this toxic place. Even though it's killing me, I just know it. well and I feel safe because I know it, but you're not safe. And you also know that. And you also know that you're not living your full potential and you're not walking into full freedom and healing because you're being wounded over and over again. And God is like, enough is enough. I am pulling my children out of toxic situations. I'm placing them in healthier ones so that they can heal, they can grow, and they can be who I've created them to be in this place. This is a season that the Lord is bringing a lot of his children through. It's painful. It's going to be painful to separate out of these toxic situations. It's not going to be a feel-good feeling. Even though you're being rescued and delivered out of a bad situation, it's still going to shock your system, but he's with you. And I even remember, like, even though the plants were crying out for help and they were just uncomfortable and stuff, they were in the hands of the Lord. They were in the hands of Jesus himself. He was the one uprooting them. He was the one taking care of them. He was the one that's going to replant them. And yet they still cried out, please don't do this to us. It reminds me of when Moses was rescuing the Israelites out of the land of Egypt. And they were all like for it eventually, but they did grumble before they decided that this was the right thing to do. And then when they were rescued out of Egypt and out of the hands of the Pharaoh, they still grumbled that they would rather die in Egypt than die in the wilderness where God was transitioning them out of toxicity into a healthier place, a place promised for them. So even though God is pulling you out and it feels uncomfortable, it's okay to cry out to the Lord and say it's uncomfortable. It's okay to say to Jesus, this is so hard. His love for you is so deep. Gosh, I can feel this right now. His love for you is so deep. He's okay with you being uncomfortable as he transitions you out of a bad place into a healthier place. Because he sees the bigger picture. He is God. He cares for you. He sees you as a whole person, healed, fully living life the way that he intends for you to live. He sees the end result. And my friend, I want you to just draw close to him if this is you. Draw close to him. Know your God in this season. Know that he cares for you. That it's not his plan for you to be in these types of situations. These types of relationships that are abusive and toxic. That's not his plan for you. That is never his plan for you. That's the plan of the enemy and the ways of this world and the world that we live in. His plan and desire for you is to align with him fully, with his plans for you, and to place you in an environment where you will shine like the stars in heaven for his name and his glory, and not be snuffed out because somebody else couldn't bear to see you shine for the Lord. A couple of things I want to end with. As the Lord has released me to talk about removing ourselves from toxic relationships, toxic environments, I have lots to say about this because I walked through this. This is like my story, and I don't share this on a video platform. And I'm only sharing now because the Lord is instructing me to. He said to me that he is ready for me to share these things, that I'm ready to share these things because I had to walk through my own healing process. I had to get into a healthier place as well. I had to be uprooted. I had to go through the grief of what could have been and all these kinds of things. And he told me, Amanda, it is time for me to use you to encourage others to understand what I am doing in their lives. If you feel like you're being uprooted right now out of a situation, even though it's painful, have comfort in knowing that the Lord is the one at the root pulling you up, and he is the one that's going to place you in the right environment, in the right place. He's actually caring for you. You might not have eyes to see what's going on. You might be aware, yeah, this is a bad place for me to be in, or bad company, or this is an abusive situation. You might be aware of that, but the pain of being pulled out might be so unbearable that you don't think that this was a part of what God is doing in your life. It can be God and still be very painful. More than likely he is, if he's pulling you out of an abusive relationship. Have comfort and peace that you are in the hands of the Lord, and he is not going to leave you or abandon you. And everything in you is going to fight the process, because in human nature, we want to be comfortable. We want to do the easiest things. We want life to be easy. We want no pain, no struggle. But in order to be healthy, in order to be whole, in order to be free and delivered in Him, there has to be that tension that happens where we pull away from unhealthy things and attach ourselves to healthy things. And in that process, it's painful. It's painful. And you will cry a lot and you will feel like the Lord is not with you, but He is with you and He has you in His hands. And He is going to be closer to you because His word says that He is close to the brokenhearted. He is close to those that are broken. And if you're in a place where you're like, dude, I know not only is my soul messed up because of this toxic situation, but my spirit is broken. They broke my spirit. You know that's you. Please know that the Lord's eyes are on you. His eyes are on you. He wants you healed and whole in Him. Love you guys. I will be releasing more about this. So look for more videos on this subject. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.